Hello everyone, Mucklug Douglas Bartholomew Reginald Esquire the Fourth here, and this is a guide to the basics of World versus World. This guide is meant to show the basics of World v World, not advanced strategies or how to be
the best of the best of the best, sir. With honors.
I'm going to go over everything I think you should know to get started and try to make it less intimidating for new players that might be interested. I am by no means a professional World v World player, but I do understand the basics, so let's use that to make your lives easier. What is World v World? World v World is a large-scale battleground where servers PvP against one another with a few PvE elements thrown into it, whereas standard PvP, which is Conquest, is usually played 5v5, World v World is a battle between at least 3 servers and can be 50 versus 50 versus 50 or more. You will get rewards every few minutes as long as you are active, as well as additional rewards when you level up. It is possible to get Ascended and even Legendary gear just from World v World play. Equipment. When in Conquest, your gear doesn't matter. However, in World v World, your gear does matter. If you're below level 80 and you enter, you will be made temporarily level 80 during your stay, but unlike Conquest, you will not get all your skills unlocked if you were missing them. Another thing worth noting is that Conquest PvP has limitations on which stats you can use on your gear. As an example, you cannot use the Minstrel stats in Conquest, however World v World has no such restrictions, allowing full freedom of gear, food buffs, etc. Masteries. Masteries and the rest of Tyria are separate from World v World. I learned this when I tried gliding in World v World without the World v World gliding mastery and promptly went splat. Additionally, this game mode has its own auto-loot mastery that you will want to go for pretty early. Access. Clicking this button up here opens the World v World interface. Here you can see which servers are fighting one another currently and teleport or queue for the battle. The Match Overview tab gives more details on how the servers are doing, but the main thing that you, as a new player to this game mode, would care about is the pips at the bottom. As long as you are active, and there are 6 levels of active participation, you are getting pips every few minutes. You can see your participation here at the bottom right. The timer is shown there and also at the top of the screen. You will get more pips if you are outnumbered or leading a squad, and a few other factors. Your progress on the pip reward track will reset to 0 when the matches restart. The reward track tab is similar to its PvP counterpart. You pick a track and it fills up slowly over time as you are playing. Typically the reward tracks that are not repeatable give the highest rewards. Also, in my opinion, World v World is the best place to use boosters for reward tracks and XP. Ranks and abilities. Every time you level up in World v World, you will get a point to spend on this screen. Spend your first point on Warclaw Mastery, which will allow you to start the Warclaw reward track. I recommend you next get War Gliding Mastery, allowing you to glide in areas that you own. Provisions Master rank 4 gives you auto looting, and having a single rank of Repair Master and Build Master doubles how fast you do those tasks. After those, pick whatever you like. Warclaw. The Warclaw is the only mount allowed to be used in World v World. There is a new Warclaw mastery that makes the Warclaw pulse its speed to nearby players, allowing players that don't have the Warclaw to keep up with mounted players without falling behind. So until you get your Warclaw, you may desire to stay near a group of people for safety in numbers and to avoid getting picked off because of being too slow. Make one of your early goals in World v World getting the Warclaw. To obtain it, go to the achievements panel and just search the word Warclaw. Ignoring the achievement for the Guild Warclaw skin, the other 8 are what you need to get your mount. They are very easy and just take some time. Many of the steps you will probably complete by accident while playing this game mode. Focus on getting this early on and you will have it done in one of your first World v World sessions. The 8 items you need: the body armor, purchased with tickets. You get those just by actively playing over time. The merchants are in the base camps. Emblem. You receive this when you spend the 1 point on the Warclaw rank mentioned earlier. Gorget. Capture a keep. Helmet. Finish the Warclaw reward track as soon as you have it available. Make sure to activate it so it starts finishing. Horn spikes. Capture a camp. Leg armor. Buy with badges of honor. You will get those over time just by playing. Saddle. Capture a tower. Tail armor. Loot it from a guard. Remember, typing /wiki space anything you are stuck on will pull up the wiki page if you are confused on any of these. Capturing a keep or finishing the reward track will probably take you the longest, and even then, not that long. Supply. Supply is used to build and repair things. You can see how much you are carrying up here and also how much your allies have over here on the side. Initially, you will be able to pick up 10 at a time, but if you have certain talents or if the guild that claimed that objective has certain guild upgrades, you will be able to pick up more than 10. When you pick up supply, it is taken from the total supply that that base is currently holding. Different base types and what they do. Camps. Camps can easily be taken by one person. The camp generates Doliacs, which travel to nearby bases and give them resources. Additionally, when those bases receive enough shipments, they level up, getting stronger walls, gates, etc. If a Doliac is killed, the killing team earns some karma. If an ally is near a Doliac, it will protect the Doliac from nearly all damage while they are escorting it. Towers. Towers often require a small group to capture, with some exceptions. Usually you need to knock down a wall with catapults, or knock down the gate with flame rams to gain entry. Once inside, if you can kill the boss, then you can capture the tower. Keeps. Similar to towers, but much larger. You will need to knock down some walls or gates to get inside, then kill the keep lord to capture it. There is often 2 sets of walls to get through to gain access to a keep. Many keeps have sweet spots that are popular to attack from because you can use these spots to make a hole in both sets of walls with well-placed siege equipment. Castle. Stone Mist Castle is in the center of the Eternal Battlegrounds, and for all intents and purposes, it's a bigger keep. However, due to its very convenient location and higher point value, it is often heavily defended by anyone who manages to claim it. Let's talk about the different types of siege equipment you can use. Most siege equipment comes in the form of blueprints. Using the blueprint equips it like a weapon, and you can use the 1 key to place it down on the ground. Afterwards, player can interact with it to spend supply and build the item in question. Each set of blueprints comes in 3 tiers. The standard tier, example, catapult blueprints. The superior tier, like superior catapult blueprints, which require a little bit more supply to build, but they are 50% more effective, so 50% more damage in the case of a superior catapult, and the guild blueprints tier, such as a guild catapult. Guild catapults are just as good as the superior ones, but they cost less supply to build them. These are built by scribes who are members of guilds using guild hall services. Catapult. Typically used to break down walls, the shots splash and have an AoE knockback. Trebuchet. It's basically a catapult that costs much more supply and can be used from much farther range. Flame Ram. Specializes in breaking down gates. Make sure there is no burning oil above the gate before constructing this under it, or you're
gonna have a bad time.
Ballista. Specializes in long-range single-target damage. You might build this on your own wall and use it to destroy an enemy catapult that is sieging you, or you might build this to take out an enemy cannon on their own wall from a respectable range. Arrow Cart. Think of this like anti-infantry. Each shot from an arrow cart resembles a ranger's longbow barrage, raining down many arrows in an area hitting multiple targets. Best used in your base defensively to rain down on enemies trying to push in. A few people manning arrow carts can defend against much greater numbers of attackers behind a wall. Siege Golem, the only mobile siege unit. The golem can be built away from the action, then brought to the fight. It is much slower than Warclaw mounted players, so it must be escorted and protected. Used to destroy gates from a short distance, making it an alternative to flame rams. Shield Generator. Are you trying to siege the enemy, but they keep rudely destroying your catapults with their siege? Make a shield generator. All the overpoweredness of a guardian and scrapper bubble rolled into one. Used to place protective bubbles over your siege to buy time for them to get the job done. These last 3 you will only see on a base that has been leveled up by Doliac shipments. There are no blueprints for these. Burning Oil. This will be above the gate. It typically dumps chili down on the enemy. Again, don't build a flame ram under this unless there are no enemies nearby to man it. Can usually be shot from ground level if you can get close enough to safely do so. Cannons. Cannons are very strong with good range and splash, hitting up to 50 targets. You do not want to build siege in range of an enemy cannon in most cases. You can often shoot cannons from the ground. Mortar. The mortar has nearly the range of a trebuchet and does exploding splash damage, often used to take out enemy siege that are firing at your base or clusters of enemy players. Jobs. So let's say you enter World v World for the first time. What should you do? Let's go over some of the common jobs. Blob, aka Zerg. This refers to a huge cluster of players traveling around the map, usually with one of them having a commander tag on, and possibly on Discord, not always. Haters of World v World will often say it is just a Zerg fest or the bigger blob always wins. Usually these are people who never moved from checkers to chess. That said, a blob will naturally steamroll disorganized groups. However, with two groups of equal size, the defenders, or the more organized group, have the advantage. Havoc. A Havoc group, or Havoc squad, is typically a smaller squad that roams around the map separate from the main blob. They may pick off supply dolyaks, capture camps, or possibly even towers while the enemy blob is distracted. Communication is important because if the enemy blob turns its attention to you, you need to move or you will be quickly overrun by them. Roamer. A roamer is typically a solo player, or perhaps a very small group that roams around and picks off anyone they can. This is perhaps someone very confident in their ability to 1v1, someone waiting in a queue for PvP, or someone with skills that they feel make them better off a roamer than a member of a large group. As one example, longbow rangers are often seen roaming in World v World because they can make a lot of use out of their 1500 range. Every few minutes, timer shown at the top and also bottom right, you earn pips on your match reward track. The chests on the reward track reset each week and are the method you use to get World v World tickets and other rewards. You get bonus pips under certain conditions, such as being a squad leader. You get a lot of bonus pips if you're outnumbered on the map. Unspoken rules. If you're at a base, don't use a majority of the base's supply repairing the walls unless there's a really good reason for it. It is typically frowned upon if you're trying to build cannons or something crucial to defense and you can't because Builder Bob over there was topping off the walls, which will now die because there is nothing to defend them with. Another unspoken rule is duels. Occasionally you may find two people 1v1ing in a field and others are just standing by watching. If they have an audience, it is almost certainly a duel and they don't want interference. If they don't have an audience, make a judgment call. I will say you get more points by killing the enemy and then apologizing than if you asked for permission. New players. Don't get discouraged when you get murdered. You don't lose any money, you just get sent back to the waypoint. Try to learn from it and take it in stride. If you get run over by 30 people, then just think, I should have been paying better attention to my surroundings, I could have run or waypointed when I saw them coming. If you lose a 1v1, think about how you could have played it differently. If you lose a tower versus a nearly equal force, maybe you should have built more arrow carts to hold them off, etc. Skirmish chests. You will occasionally get skirmish chests, which allow you to pick a reward. I have a bad habit of saving mine, but you can pick what you want here. I often end up picking badges of honor to build up our guild hall and guild siege equipment, but the testimonies of heroics are very useful as well. One great use of the testimonies of heroics is to spend them at the heroics notary. There is one in the Edge of the Mists, among others, and purchase hero points for your characters. With enough testimonies, you can buy every hero point in Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns to help unlock those elite specs if you dislike running hero point trains or just don't want to on any of your characters. The Outfitter sells some nice 20-slot bags for consumable supplies. More info on bags in the Inventory Management Guide. I'll have a link in the description of that. You can get Ascended Armor from random chests you get, or you can spend World v World currencies to buy Ascended Armor and even upgrade it to Legendary Armor if you wish. I've already outlined how to do that in the Legendary Armor Guide, so I'll include a link to that in the description. For your first time into World v World, you have a few options. You can run around with a group to teach you, run around with newbies and learn together, go in solo and just explore, or find a commander tag on the map, join their group, and just follow them around and learn the best you can. Learn the spots where they drop siege, what works and what does not work, and most importantly, find a role you consider fun. In one of my builds, I play a Minstrel Druid in World v World. It's not possible in PvP because that gear isn't available in the 5v5 game mode, I run around, lead a squad, heal people, stand on the front line because of how tough Minstrel Gear is, immobilize enemies for our kills, and drop the siege. I do the damage of a foam pool noodle, but it's fun for me and it gets things done. And that's it. There is much more to learn in World v World, but these are the basics I've learned over the last few months that I felt were the most helpful things to share with newcomers. If you have any tips to share with others on World v World that I didn't list, please put them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like for the YouTube algorithm, or subscribe if you'd like to see more content. Thanks to Nudie, who let me use his dual footage. Link to his channel is in the description. A special thank you to my newest Patreon supporters who helped fund these videos. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment for me below the video, mail me in-game at muckluck.9082, or ask me live any evening on Twitch after 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click the follow button there to be notified when I go live. That's it for today. Happy sieging!